Hello to all of our listeners out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 22 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, recorded April 4th, 2016. This evening we're talking all about CQB. Joining me this evening we have Craig. Craig, who has 20 years of law enforcement experience, 5 years in corrections, and 15 as a police officer with a large GTA service. Craig's also a firearms enthusiast and competitive shooter, and he's been shooting CQB since the end of 2011. This year, he also plans to compete in service rifle. Welcome, Craig. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me out.
Happy to have you here. Is there anything else from your bio that you'd like to let our listeners know about?
I've just always been pro-gun. I've always been a lifelong enthusiast of firearms for varying reasons, not just as a freedom here in Canada, but to make it one of our rights as well. And I just like promoting it within the communities, and the shooting sports are some of the best fun that you can have out there, and it's something alternative to soccer and hockey and all those other things as well. It's a healthy lifestyle, and it's a healthy sporting thing to go after with your kids. Right
on. We also have Tyler. Tyler's the co-founder and co-host of the International Liberty or Death podcast. He's been shooting for 9 years, both as a casual and sport shooter, and as a hunter. He identifies politically as a libertarian. Hello, Tyler. Thank you for being on the show.
Good to be back.
I'd also like to thank you for the new PMags you dropped off with me on Friday.
Yep, not a problem.
I got myself a big old box full of, well, almost freedom.
Freedom light. Of freedom.
That's right. If it weren't for those little rivets. We've also got Gavin. Gavin's a business owner, gun enthusiast, hunter, atheist, and the host of the Greater Toronto Area chapter of the Tactical Beer Owners Club. Hey, Gavin, how's it going?
Good. Yourself?
Not too shabby. As always, I'm your host, Andrew. I'm a libertarian competitive shooter gear reviewer at everydaytactical.com, and this year I'm the Ontario Rifle Association CQB match administrator. Gavin, read the copy.
He doesn't have it in front of him.
No. Why would I do
Love
that?
to hear your feedback about the show.
Read the show notes.
.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Say something witty about leave a 5-star review, and you can make Gavin drink.
There you go.
Close enough. I'll take it. Yeah. We got to work on that. We're also available on Stitcher and iTunes. Check out the show notes for those links.
And Grindr.
And Gavin, no, who's that? No, that I was gonna say, and Gavin's available on Grindr. Gavin might be, but Craig's available on Grindr.
Hey,
that's
the money's
terrible.
Right.
If you didn't want me to read that from the copy, you should put it in brackets.
Is that? I was really hoping we could get Gavin to say something witty about 5-star reviews and making him drink, but I'll take
well,
it.
That's. I do have my special glass for the review that I was given last by our very own Tyler. It is.
What are you drinking?
The Erdinger Weiss.
Nice.
Solid choice.
Well,
what do you
out
get?
Of Das Boot.
I've got Rickards White.
You drinking it all, Craig?
No, I got nothing. Nothing tonight.
I got more of my surprise brown ale that I found in the basement, the homebrew that I forgot I brewed.
You might want to change the name from Surprise Brown, though.
Well,
Surprise Brown.
I don't know. I found it in the basement. It was a surprise.
It sounds like you may have sharded yourself if you say that.
Well, things happen.
It's true.
All right. Quick and easy news tonight. We don't have very much. Let's talk about the Special Forces. Former Special Forces soldier setting up a training area in Ontario. So, do you guys have a chance to see this? This is going to be out in Brockville.
Yeah.
So Steve Day's former, I guess, retired lieutenant colonel, and at one point was the commander of JTF-2, which is our Tier 1 special operations community in the Canadian Forces. So they're the guys that go and kick in doors and don't get talked about. So he's got a deal going to build a 10,000 square foot schoolhouse, a 50-meter outdoor range, a 25-meter indoor range, and he's doing this all on an airport. So they're using an aircraft hangar, and they're going to be basing this all as training for military and law enforcement. So kind of neat, right? Little entrepreneurship. And
I would be more enthusiastic if they had training slots like available for anybody who was willing to pay for them.
I think in time you will get that. I think this fills a niche right now with something that we don't have training-wise in Canada. I think with some of this stuff that you can get for training, you have to sort of either bring somebody in or you have to actually leave the country to go and get it. Mm-hmm. And I think eventually down the road, once it's rooted itself within the culture of our community here, it will open itself up later on to those that can pay. But right off the bat, I mean, it's his house, his rules, right? His, what he wants to do right off the bat is he wants to train a specific segment of military and law enforcement, and that's who's going to be it's the government that's going to be footing the bills, right? From whether it's municipal, provincial, or federal, from wherever these places are coming from, they're footing the bills. That's where the money's coming from right now. Eventually, me as a private citizen, and then you guys, no doubt in time, we're going to be able to go up there.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. Go ahead.
Once they strip out more and more funding from the budgets from police and the military, they're going to need to fund that center somehow, and then that's where we're going to come in, pay their bills.
Yeah.
Keep the lids on.
It's something we up here have to sort of get kind of used to. If you go down to the United States, of course, we have training schools that are rampant like that, all over the 50 states, where they're, from the days of Blackwater, and you have a gun site, and you have, that high-end training place. What's it called? Range Time McCoy in Erica. You can go there. And eventually that's going to come up here, and it only takes a bit of time. We're generally about 20 years behind and stuff like that, right? And it's about time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I had an opportunity to spend some time with people that used to work for Steve Day. He sounds like a pretty cool individual. The fact that he's got $50 million to spend on building a training facility sounds like a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if some of that comes from private industry as well. Obviously, he's going to have, a cadre of.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there are people that are backing like this.
So
I'm sure it's
by all means, Canadian business, 100%. Let's get this going.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have. There's places like Millbrook Tactical that kind of do this sort of thing. I don't think Millbrook's got the dedicated $50 million facility, but they offer some professional level training.
Yeah.
I know that TDSA starting this year, they're offering an invitation-only training program that's a 3-day course now, as opposed to a single-day course. And Scott Little was telling me that it's going to include a lot of hand-to-hand work as well. I know he has a big background in martial arts. Definitely nothing on the same caliber as like military special forces training, but that's probably the best you're going to get for now as a private citizen.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's is that his TAC Rifle 3, where you're going to do Tomahawk and some of that other cool stuff as well. By all means, man, if you can front the money for that, why not? Go and do it. It's something to put on your tool belt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the one thing I have found is that a bunch of these training schools and everything that do exist, there a good number of them want you to have your security license or your PI license, which is kind of ridiculous because, if you're a security guard, at least in Ontario, you're never going to encounter any of the stuff that you would be training for in those things. But
no, not unless you're fulfilling a specific role. No, not at all.
Yeah, but that just then puts it that much more out of reach for like the average citizen to attend some of these training things, because it's like, oh, I've got to get my security license. So I've actually gone and done that. So I hold a security license, so I can take some of this stuff. So
it just kind of sucks when those hurdles are in the way of of responsible Canadians that want to go out and do these sorts of things. And it takes, I don't know how much a security guard's license costs now to go and take that course, and then pay the government the rape tax in order to get the card. But I don't know, pay it at the same time you pay your vel tag, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Taxation
think
is
stuff-
theft after all.
Yeah. Well, I honestly think that, when you have responsible firearms enthusiasts that are into it legitimately for a sport, stuff like that should be available to everybody, right? The world should be our oyster, when we're going out and we're contributing to Canadian business. It just makes sense to do it.
Well, I mean, like, the more training we all get, the safer we are with these tools, right? So, I mean,
Absolutely.
It's not a bad thing. So you'd think that the people that don't want us to have them would be happy that we're going and getting more training with them, so we're going to be less dangerous. Or more dangerous, I guess, depending how you look at it.
That's how they're looking at it, is we're more dangerous.
No, they would rather we go to the U.S. for that kind of training and then stay there.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit, because next week's show, episode 23, is going to be all about training for competition. So the timing worked out. There was something come up on soldiersystems.net. They have the joining standards for JTF2, which I thought was right in line with our article with Steve Day's new training facility, and next week being that we're talking about training for competition. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to look through and see what the standards look like.
I saw that a little while ago, and yeah, it's a little beyond me.
Yeah, it's a little beyond me. For all of our listeners out there, check the link in the show notes, get the charts, submit your score, and let us know where you rank, because next week I'm going to ask the panelists where they rank. I don't rank at all. The minimum score for selection is 75 points. So, for example, 11 points, you have to do 5 continuous pull-ups, and then to get more points, it goes up from the 5 continuous pull-ups. Or
I could do like 1, maybe.
Yeah, I did 2 the last time I was at the gym. 1 when I got there, and 1 when I left.
Well, it gives you a basis. It gives you a baseline to start somewhere, right? And I mean, when it comes to firearms, whether it's in sporting or competition or whatever, I always try and plead to people as well the physical component that goes with it too. So you know what?
Oh yeah, what we do.
Get down.
Shooting is totally a physical sport, which I think is vastly overlooked.
Yep.
Yeah, I see guys pounding 2-liter bottles of Pepsi and then shooting a match, and I'm just like, what are you doing, man? And a lot of these guys are overweight and they've really neglected their bodies. You can definitely see the effects of being dramatically overweight when it comes to the knees. Whenever it comes to taking a kneeling stance for shooting, they're slow going down and they're slow coming back up.
Yeah.
And when you're in poor physical condition, when your cardiovascular system is not very well trained, when your stamina is really shitty. Sorry, you have to edit that one out. When your stamina is no good.
Fuck.
But all that means, as soon as you reach your shooting box and then you take your shooting stance, all your muscles are just full of tremors. They're just full of tremors, and your sight's flying all over the place.
No, absolutely. The cardiovascular thing, I think, is hugely important. The GTF2 standards, I think, are a little bit on the ridiculous side, but I mean, good for them. They're special operators. They can do that. I want to see where everybody places next week. So for all of our listeners, for everybody that's going to be on the panel next week, go and do the assaulter test and see where you rank. Add up your score. Let me know.
Careful how you phrase that, though, because that does not sound like something we want to encourage people to do.
You're gonna have the coroner knocking on your door.
Okay,
or if they don't want to do that, go train for Cola Warrior down in the States, where you just down a whole 2-liter bottle of Coke and eat some peeps. So.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe instead of saying the assaulter standards, use the Category A chart.
Yeah.
Not the Category B support and specialist standards chart, because nobody wants to be in support and specialists. That's not what we're about.
Those are the guys that are sitting there drinking their Pepsi and eating peeps. That's
in JTF2, they're probably still the people that can kick everyone else's ass in the room.
It's true, but they're not the ones that are going in and being consultants.
No, they're not kicking in doors. They're probably kicking in fewer doors.
Yeah.
Well, those are what we would refer to as they're silent professionals, man. Those are the ones that we look up to, and we say thank you to for all the stuff that goes on that we have no idea, right? So.
Yeah. But like everyone on this show, we're gonna rip on them anyways.
I just don't want them coming to my house.
Yeah.
It's not like you'd know they were there.
Yeah.
All right, let's transition into the main topic of the show this evening. So tonight we're primarily talking about CQB. And when we say CQB in Canada, we talk about the shooting discipline, not the thing on the internet that everybody's talking about with their CQB in the States and their short barrel rifles and all the other shenanigans. So if the rest of our esteemed panel was here this evening, I would ask people like Brian Bolivar to give us an elevator pitch of what they think CQB is, but they're not, and two of you don't shoot CQB yet. So, Craig, if you had like 30 seconds to tell somebody what CQB is, what is that?
Well, it's a really, really good shooting discipline. And for people that are into black rifles and pistols and want a taste of what competition is, where in reality, when you first show up, you're really only competing against yourself and finding out what your level of competitiveness is and your level of fitness and your level of shooting. You're lining up with 40 to 60 other people that are decked out similarly as you are. You're generally having some sort of semi-automatic rifle that is reliable, as well as a pistol. And we are shooting from distances of 10 meters or 10 yards up to 35 yards. And you're transitioning where your primary is your rifle, and then when you get into the closer distances, you transition to your pistol. And it's amazing. The first couple times I did it, I had no idea what I was doing, other than I knew I was having fun and I was getting used to what my platforms were. And for, guys buy guns and they want to get out and they want to compete. This is what you need to get into first, because it has a really good return on your investment right away. So
the one thing that I would really add to that is that it focuses on the fundamentals that a lot of the other shooting sports do not.
Yep.
Because we're dealing with a course of fire that it's always the same 4 stages. So in IPSC, IDPA, USP, etc., they call them a stage. In CQB, we call them a match. We have 4 matches every day when we go to shoot the competition. And we have a set amount of ammo that's required and a set number of magazines for every match. And we really focus on fundamentals, making relatively precise hits, even though we're at a very close range, and magazine changes under pressure, because we're only given 3 seconds to complete a magazine change proficiently.
And what I liked about it, one of our setbacks that we have with our Canadian laws is that our semi-auto magazines and capacities are stuck at 5. And I didn't know this in the beginning. Everybody has their flights and fantasies about shooting full 30-round mags, stuff like that. The actual coordinator, the guy that runs the matches, he emphasizes it's all about the fundamentals, and it's all about how you manipulate your platforms, knowing the nomenclature, knowing how things work. And after you've shot 5 rounds, you have to do a mag change, and those are the fundamentals you're getting. And yeah, it'd be nice to shoot full cap, but then again, you're not getting the mag changes in and learning how to do that a lot faster.
Absolutely.
And once you learn that kind of stuff, then it's like a light goes up, bing. Okay, this is what's going on here, and you really get to get down and dirty and focus on your specific fundamentals and how you shoot.
So are you guys not allowed to use pistol mags or those Beowulf mags then? You have to use capped 5-rounders?
So what happened? Yeah, okay, yeah,
actually,
let's chat about that.
Let's, before we go in, because what Craig and I are talking about specifically is the way that we do it in Ontario with the Ontario Rifle Association. Before we go into the nitty-gritty, because that's the way that Craig and I shoot it, let's talk about all the places in Canada that have this, and then we can go into the details of the what's and why fors, the way that Craig and I shoot. So in Ontario, you've really got the best place to shoot is with the ORA, and you're going to be shooting at CFB Borden. This year, ORA members are going to be paying $20 a match, and a guest is going to be paying an additional $30 guest fee every match. If you check the show notes, you'll have links to all of the gun nuts. Pardon me. If you check the show notes, there'll be links to all of the Canadian Gun Nuts threads for the different locations that I was able to find in Ontario, in Quebec, in BC, and Alberta. The other place in Ontario that you can shoot is my home club, the Guelph Rod and Gun Club. So prior to me becoming the CQB match administrator for the Ontario Rifle Association this year, I ran 2 civilian CQB matches in Ontario One in 2013, one in 2015 at the Guelph Rod and Gun Club. In 2015, I ran it for $30 for a match fee, and I basically just stole the ORA rules. I was blessed from the match coordinator that runs with the ORA to use that course of fire and run it on a civilian range and try it and see if it worked.
But you also became very, very well known from the people that are from the western part of the province that can't always get up to where we are and where we shoot. They were glad to have those matches that you put on.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that's through evolution. That's put you to where you are right now. You know, you've stood up and you've taken over for us for the admin duties with the ORA for our CQB matches. Because if that wasn't going to happen with somebody, we might not be here today shooting, right? So.
Yeah, stood up isn't really the right word. Shanghaied is probably more accurate.
Yeah.
I got voluntold. Somehow I'm not in the army and I still got voluntold.
Yeah, better you than me.
Yeah, I hear that. If you're in Quebec, there's a really cool group of people that run out of CFB Valcartier. It's Quebec La Ligue CQB Quebec. They're the Quebec CQB League. And from what I understand about these folks is it's run by mostly Reg Force soldiers. The guys that are in charge of it there have a goodly number of deployments between them. So these are people that know how CQB works in the real world. Their matches run at $35, and as far as I know, all their matches run at CFB Valcartier.
And they've a few of them have actually come to our matches over the last couple of years.
Yeah, they particularly like to make the trip out for the championship match to show us up.
Yeah, and but you know what? They're always the consummate gentlemen. They're always good guys to deal with, and it's always good to have that ability to, connect and exchange information and get good ideas and stuff like that. So yeah, and then they steal our prizes, fuckers.
Way out on the left coast, if you're in BC, there's a group called the First Action Rifle League, which I believe is primarily their core group is mostly veterans, I think. And this year they're running mostly out of the Abbotsford Fish and Game Club. I think that their match fees are this year going to be $50 if you're a non-member and $40 if you're a member of Abbotsford Fish and Game. In the past, I think they've also been at other shooting clubs. They pack all their stuff up and they take it to any range that can accommodate the course of fire.
Well, it's good that this is being set across Canada. It'd be nice to have something like this where it's in every single province, and then hey, maybe there's a countrywide managing body, where we have some huge organization and we'll become that strong. But that would be later on down the line.
Well, it's kind of getting there. I mean, I foresee in the future that if the provincial rifle associations get involved like they are in Ontario and Nova Scotia, and there's no reason that Quebec and BC couldn't do it either, that this wouldn't fall under the DCRA banner in the future and end up as being part of the NSCC program in Ottawa. So the National Service Conditions Championship matches that happen in the summertime right after the Canadian Armed Forces Small Arms Concentration.
Yep.
So if you're in Alberta, there's an opportunity to shoot this with the CDTSA range at the Milo range. I don't know how frequently they do it. I heard they're running their program again this year, and the last that I heard that was going to be $10 for members and $20 for non-members at the Milo range. And for the information for their program, you're going to want to check cdtsa.ca. And actually, just recently, this past couple of months, I was approached by somebody from the Nova Scotia Rifle Association, and they asked for information about CQB because the NSRA wants to introduce the program as part of their provincial rifle association. So if you're in Nova Scotia, you want to get in touch with the NSRA rep and let them know that you're interested. I don't know where they'll be shooting. I imagine the NSRA will operate out of military ranges, and I have no idea what their costs are. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty stuff, since that's where everybody in Canada can shoot it, so we didn't just lose all the people that aren't in Ontario, all three of them. Back to the province that matters, the center of the universe. Oh, no, wait, we're not talking about Toronto, just Ontario. Okay, so Gavin, you had specific questions about gear and equipment. Let's talk gear and equipment.
Yeah.
Good question, Gavin.
What gear would you recommend you start with, Andrew, to be competitive?
Any good, reliable AR-15 rifle and any good, reliable 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
Does it have to be an AR?
No, it doesn't.
It does not have to be an AR. However,
it can be the Devil's Child Swiss Arms if you want.
Yeah.
We've seen people run ARs, SKS, VZ, Swiss Arms, M305, M14, Polytech, Chinese 308 rifle.
XCRs, T97s,
I've not seen a T97.
RFBs.
Yeah, the T97, there was one or two of them that were out last year.
Was there? I don't remember. Okay.
They were okay.
I know I saw a couple of guys running Tavors.
Yeah.
The reason I say AR-15 is the vast majority of competitors are shooting the AR-15. The nomenclature around how everybody talks is based on the AR-15, and if you have a problem, it's almost certain that somebody there is an armorer that can fix your broken AR-15. If you show up with a broken Type 97, nobody's going to know what to do with it.
And no one's going to give a shit.
Yeah.
Quick side question. Is it strictly 5.56, or can you shoot any other intermediate centerfire caliber?
Yeah, but. So with the ORA, because we're shooting on a military range at CFB Borden, you're limited to the range approvals that the military has posted on a sign. So typically that means you're limited to things that are military calibers, like 223, 308, 243 is on the list, 6.5 millimeter might be on the list. I'd have to actually go and get my copy of the range approvals list out of my big book of scary military rules. So if you want to bring a non-standard caliber AR or semi-automatic, if you want to bring something that's not 223 or 308, email the match director. So for the ORA, that's me, match director, or what's the email? It's oracqbmd@gmail.com. Get in touch with the match director, and we can find out if it's on the approved caliber list or if we can have it added.
Generally, you find with people that are newer shooters that come in with, I don't want to say exotic calibers, but are calibers that are a little bit different. It's because there's that saying, run with what you bring, right? You have what you have at home, and people come with, they may not have an AR or a C8 style rifle, but they have something that they've had for a few years. That's what they're going to bring. That's what they're going to shoot. And again, they're competing with themselves. After they've done that a few times, we've all been there. I thought, shooting with a Mini 14 was going to be a good idea or something like that. Yeah, it's good, but you're not going to be competitive to the level where you're going to start scoring properly and winning things. So things like somebody was saying there just a little while ago, they reload 6.5. I know nothing about that caliber, but they also want to build an AR in that caliber in order to get into service rifle. I mean, all the power to you, right? So, but yeah. I would also say, the last couple of years I've been shooting 40 in my pistol because that's what I carry at work. So my personal pistols mimic what I carry at work. The ammo's starting to get up there, and I'm actually reverting now down to 9mm just because of cost and stuff like that. And but you'll find mostly everybody runs like an AR platform now. That's just the way things have gone nowadays.
Yeah. Now the other caveat with that is, like, if I run a match at Guelph Rod and Gun Club as an outlaw match under my own banner that's not associated to the Provincial Rifle Associations, is just an outlaw match, you can shoot whatever caliber my range is rated for. So at the Guelph Gun Club, that's anything up to 50 BMG. So if you want to shoot, I don't know, 458 SOCOM, bring out an AR in 458 SOCOM. I don't care. Have fun.
Nice. You can bring your Desert Eagle then too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that range that I shoot, because when we shoot civilian matches in Guelph, we're rated up to 50 BMG. So bring anything up to that, right?
Okay, so that begs another question then. Does, say, if you in an outlaw match, for example, or in a sanctioned match, does bringing one of these different calibers, like let's say 308 versus 5.56, does it put you in a different class? Are there different classes for these?
No, there is no class structure in CQB. It's a level playing field. Everyone is treated equally, and it's not generally been an issue. It's not as competitive as, say, IPSC.
Okay.
So nobody's really concerned that I need to come in first. There's no real money on the table. The championship matches with the Ontario Rifle Association have had pretty cool prizes in the past, including firearms. The matches that I've run that are outlaw matches, I've had prizes from local vendors that are like, hats and patches and that kind of stuff. I think the Quebec guys might have a pistol for a giveaway this year, but don't quote me on it. Go and check their Gun Nuts thread. So, I mean, it pays to play the game the way the game was intended, and people that try and game it don't tend to win because it's designed. As long as you're following the rules the way that the match coordinator or the guy that started CQB set it up, he's very against gaming, and the matches are structured in a way that if you try and game, you're not going to be as competitive as if you would be as if you shot it the way that it was intended.
Well, because a lot of this it's combat based, and then it's been transitioned and put into the civilian world so that it is now sporting based. So some people may have the attitude or the idea that when they come, it's almost like running a multi-gun match where, being and just putting rounds on paper is the name of the game. Well, it's not. You got to resort back to those fundamentals again, where you got to get your V-bulls. You want to score your 5s and your 4s and stuff like that. You got to get your 2 pistol shots to the body in order to score the 1s to the head and different things like that. So it's
targets here. So I've got a figure 11 target. So anybody that's not watching the YouTube, if you Google figure 11 target, you'll see what I mean. Oh, he's upside down. There we go.
That was good if he was that was a 69. Is that a figure 69?
That's a figure 69 target. Yeah, I got my figure 11 target. So our V-Bull scoring area is the soldier's wristwatch, which is about 2.5 inches wide and about 2.5 inches tall. And that's it's 5 points, but we use a V-Bull. And then our 5 scoring area is the inside box, which is only about 4 inches tall and 2.5 inches wide. So I mean, they're not especially big targets. So if you're doing something weird or unusual and you're not playing by the way that the game was designed, it doesn't benefit you any unless you're still getting those hits. So if you're using, a laser and an optic and an iron sight, if you're not putting all 5 rounds in the V-Bull, some guy that's good at using iron sights is going to drop 5 rounds in the V-Bull and beat you.
Yep.
The way that the matches work, there are the 4 matches, and everybody has the same amount of time and the same amount of ammo. So unlike IPSC, where they figure out your score based as the value of your time, everybody's told you have 10 seconds to fire 2 rounds, right? 1 round left, 1 round right. So everybody gets 10 seconds to fire those 2 rounds. So if you don't sink 2 V-Bulls, then the guy that's good with his equipment that does sink the V-Bulls is going to beat you regardless of how tricked out, like, race gun your stuff is, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, there was a time there where, when you talk about tricking out your guns like that, we're finding now there's a transition. A lot of the guns are starting to sort of look the same. You've got the nice rails on them. People are starting to spend good money on optics now, and muzzle brakes, obnoxious brakes had their place, and they're starting to disappear a little bit from what I've seen. I'm going back to sort of A2 based muzzle devices, not necessarily just flash hiders, but the ones that mimic what I carry at work. My 2 primary rifles that I use for matches are sort of based off of what I carry at work, so that it's the same sort of feeling. But if you're out there and you're there to what does Tim refer to as gaming?
Yeah.
He's taken a zero tolerance approach to that, I've noticed in the last couple of years, and there's been people that have been known as gamers that the last 2 seasons have not returned, and you notice a big difference when it comes to that, and it just levels the playing field for everybody.
Yeah, I think it does, and I mean, nobody's going to be hard on you if you show up with like a $3,000 Swiss Arms with like a $3,000 piece of glass on top of it. Nobody's going to be hard on you if you show up with like a Norinco $700 AR with iron sights.
Mother Nature will give you a hard time.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other story. This match this past weekend, we had all kinds of issues.
And anything that was not North American based had a lot of problems.
Yeah, we had some pretty severe weather. We had a freak blizzard on Sunday at the match. Our match one was this Sunday, and Mother Nature leveled the playing field on people that were using interesting lubricants.
Yeah.
Or
that KY is water based, right? So it freezes.
Yeah, KY freezes. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Nobody was running Crisco on their guns.
No. No, just that lumpy oatmeal looking stuff after it gets all junky. Yeah. Frog lube.
Yeah, my go, like, if I was to get into this, I would use my
it's not
Colt
if
Canada
it's,
IUR.
It's when you're getting into this.
When I get into it. It's when I find the time.
Your IUR
I'd use my Colt Canada IUR 15.7 inch barrel, and I'd use a Vortex Viper PST 1-4x24 probably as my optic.
That's almost exactly what I run.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect setup. We do see a lot now that Colt Canada and Dymaco released their platforms over the last year and a half. Of course, we're seeing a lot of those because that's Canadian culture. That's a piece of Canada, and people want that, and we see a lot of those at the matches. And it just looks good when people have not necessarily high-end kit, and they show up to matches and they've got some really nice looking stuff. It just makes the line look really nice. And you see the same people year after year after year, and you see the transition of their equipment and becoming better shooters. I know right off the bat, I started off with something cheap, and now I build my rifles. I only have one that is actually stock, and because I have specific tastes, I know how I shoot.
Yeah.
And having that kind of an optic and that kind of rifle, perfect, 100%. Show up at the match.
Yeah, I agree. This does get into a weird, because I build my own rifles too, and actually, Tyler, while we're on the topic of what we'd run, I'm going to grab my CQB rifle, since it's on my wall of guns.
Okay, I'm going to step out then. I'm going to do some show and tell. Hold on.
Oh, that's right.
Hold on, I don't have pants on, so hold on.
While he's away, I'll show off my obnoxious brake.
There you go.
Nice.
I was going to say, just in extreme weather conditions, I might be tempted to run my Ruger SR556 upper, because this thing, over, I'd say about 8,000 or 9,000 rounds now, has been free of issues. And that's shooting all through last winter when we had like 4 or 5 weeks straight of -20 or below. Like, just the reliability of this firearm has more than impressed me.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, so for Craig to get back, I'll start with my rifle, and we'll go through what I run. And by no means is this like a definitive what anyone else should run. This is what works for me after doing this for like, I guess, 4 or 5 years now. So this is a rifle that I built specifically to play CQB. So spike slower, Moody Made in Canada upper, Geisley Super Craig, you're making way too much racket.
Mute your mic. Goddamn. Where's your podcast etiquette?
Mute. There we go. Oh no, is he back? I don't know if you're back. I muted you.
He gave a thumbs up.
I can't unmute him.
Uh-oh.
Craig, you might have to unmute yourself. I muted you, and now I can't make it not.
Okay, how's that now?
Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Have you shown yours off yet?
No, we were waiting until you stopped making a ruckus. I have to edit that all out.
Oh, do you? Okay. Oh, that's a beauty. My one of my primaries is I shoot 14.5 inch mid-length, and this is a Spikes Tactical. And when I build like what I call like match or fighting guns, I always use Daniel Defense barrels, and it's a mid-length gas system, which I find is awesome, especially for this length of rifle. And I have one of the first, well, not anymore, but I have one of the first Daniel Defense slim rails that was in 12 inch that I got a year and a half ago. Totally lightens up the gun. And all my optics that I run are they're all aim points. I learned that a long time ago. And my muzzle device that I just tried out, that I just installed, is the Griffin Armament, and this is their hammer comp, which is very very reminiscent of the BCM compensator that they have, the Mod 1. I think this is the closest one to it. It's A2 spec, but then it's got a reverse cone inside, and it helps with a lot of, it has a bit of a compensating feature to it as well as flash as well. And when I ran it this weekend, it was just, for me and the way I shoot, you know, somebody else may not like the way it is, but the way I shoot, it's amazing. And it's a lightweight gun. I don't have a lot of things that hang off my guns. I hate that. I don't have a lot of moving parts. The only thing that really moves is where my sling attaches, and I got Troy flip sights. And then I always show up with 2 guns to a match. And then I have this one as well. And this is my actual primary one. And this is one of the, I'm happy to say, or proud to say, I was one of the first people to be graced with a Troy Northern Guard when they were brought in by North Silva. And this is a 14.5-inch mid-length. And I ended up changing the rail to a Geisley SMR rail. It's a Mark 8 with the M-Lock. And again, I don't have much on it other than, you know, I've got their M-Lock AFG. Again, another aim point micro dot. And I've, because of a wrist injury that I had at the gym 2 years ago, I've gone to those grips that are a little bit more straighter up and down. And I just find that gives me a little bit more purchase. And I have another Griffin Armament. This is their flash comp. And I mean, some people say it's a knockoff of, you know, one of the Knights Armament or one of the other ones that they have. But it's got, you know, the ports on the side, but then it's also got the flash suppressing stuff at the front, and amazing. And with this one, when I changed the rail out, I put the Geisley gas block on it, and this one runs, man. Well, they both run, never any issues. And I run, because we're only doing, you know, 35 yards. I run Norinco ammo through these things, and I've never had any problems. But you get what you pay for. So those are my girls.
I like it. Show and tell for mine then, since I'm going to edit out the earlier one. So see if you can find the things that Craig and I both like. Spike slower. This is a Moodyock made in Canada upper. Geisley super semi-automatic trigger. Veltor iMod stock because it fits my fat face good. I like having that big giant pillow there. It's an 11.5-inch carbine barrel. It's a green mountain barrel that I got for cheap, and it runs pretty good, so I'm not changing it. Griffin Armament's compensator, and because I don't like shooting modified prone, I spent the money and got their QD blast shield. So it's
that's on my list as well. That's on my list.
Oh, they're expensive, but they make shooting modified prone so much more pleasant.
This whole thing is expensive. You know, either you get into cocaine and hookers and spend your money on that.
Yeah, no kidding. So get my QD blast shield on. There we go. Yay, QD mount. It's like a suppressor, but better. Not really.
And I always, in everything I have, Raptor charging handles, man. These ambi things and an ambi safety makes transitioning a lot better.
No, BCM Gunfighter Mod 2.
I got a couple of BCMs upstairs.
Yeah, no, it's
in the trash, where they belong. No, Raptor is the way to go, man. For sure. I'm with you, 100%.
No,
you're gonna have to ditch that EOTech.
I'm a huge fan of the EOTech reticle. If there was a competing model that incorporated the EOTech reticle and didn't have the let's call it an exaggerated reliability issue for circumstances that I am unlikely to encounter in Ontario, then I might be tempted to change it over. But for the moment, I'm very happy with my EOTechs.
I had a chance to run an EOTech EXPS2 2 seasons ago, and I didn't even really zero it on my rifle at the time. And to this day, despite all the problems and what everybody talks about on the internet and the stuff that has been proven factually from the defense industries, which again, like you said, it means nothing to us. That EOTech, if they could put the aim point reliability on that, that is, to me, I found that was the ultimate CQB optic, just because of the reticle.
Yeah.
So, because of
I'm not going to switch.
No, you guys and your batters are weird. Etched glass reticle is where it is at.
Yeah. I've got my glass, because I'm getting into service rifle. I've got a Leupold Mark IV MRT. What is it? The 2.5 to 8. And then for the closer distances on the shorter service rifle I'm building, I've got the Leupold Mark IV MRT 1.5 to 5, and they're etched as well as illuminated. So that's something where I'm getting into new as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I much prefer the etched reticles. Both of my CQB rifle and my service rifle are Vortex Viper PSTs. On my CQB gun, it's the 1 to 4,
Yep.
And on my service rifle, it's 2.5 to 10.
Yeah.
And I'm in the same range as you. I'm not spending the money on the Leupold number 4s.
An opportunity came up. I knew years ago that I wanted to get into service rifle because it's a natural transition for that kind of shooting. And $25 a pay came out of my account and went into a separate account, and I never touched it. And I was able to. I met somebody that gave me an opportunity for these two optics, and because originally I was looking at the Vortex Razor HD 1 to 6.
That's a nice piece of glass too, though.
Yeah, and but then these Leupolds came up, and like right at the right time, and I was blessed in order to have that relationship and that contact, and I thank that person very much. And hey man, I got some cool glass now.
As long as we're on the subject of optics and budget,
Yeah,
I'm gonna come out here and say, save your money and spend the money on the optic you want, because even if it turns out to not be the right fit for you, you can sit on it for a year and flip it and make money. I just looked up the prices for the Vortex Viper PST 1 to 4, which is what I have. I have 2 of them actually, and there are 2 different, or the 3 different models, but it's either $729 or $759 at the ammosource.com, which is where I got mine, and I paid $529 and $549 respectively for those models 2 years ago.
When people go, the dollar going down.
Yeah, I find that when people progress to a glass optic, that the Viper Vortex 1 to 4 is generally where people will end up. Sometimes you'll see the TAC 30 or the other Burris as well. You don't see those too much anymore. It might just be because Vortex just has a higher visibility now in the marketplace. I mean, they're just in Guelph anyway, right? So,
and I've been kind of pushing that in CQB, saying, I had a problem with one of my Vortex optics, and they're in Guelph, and I went there, and the guy that owns the Canadian distributor is really good to deal with.
Yeah. And now they have that sort of budget scope in a way, the Strike Eagle, which is their 1 to 6, and that's becoming very, very popular for the budget-minded people that are getting into 3-gun and some other action shooting down the United States, which is now going to transition up here. And no doubt we're going to start seeing that a little bit more. Seems like a nice optic.
Yeah.
I have my own particular taste. That might be something that I put on like one of my kids' guns or something like that. But it's exactly that. Save up for what you want. If it's not feasible right now, spend the money on a good set of iron sights and get those fundamentals down. Yeah, it's not as fun. You don't look as flashy when you're out there on the mat shooting it, but you'll become that much better when you are shooting.
You'll be better at it, and you'll understand the holdovers a little bit better. And yeah, there's nothing.
It doesn't matter. Like, as soon as you transition to pistol, you're shooting iron sights anyway.
Yeah.
So because nobody's showing up. Well, you're starting to see the RMRs
the red dots
on the
are
Glocks
starting to come into the pistols now.
Yep. I don't know if I'll go that route just yet, but I don't know. We'll see.
That was going to be my next question. Are there restrictions on the pistols?
Nope.
I definitely in the sports that I'm used to shooting, there's like strict regulation on what you can and can't use and things like that. And then a side question to that: are there any particular parameters you have to operate within with regard to your holster selection?
Let me say something about holster. Spend the money on a hard holster that has a positive locking system on it. I don't care what it is. My pet peeve, a lot of nice guys that we shoot with, very, very nice, and I've gotten to know over the years. Those shitty holsters that they buy, they spend, $800 on a Glock used, but they'll go and they'll buy some shitty nylon holster, and, the guns are falling out, or they can't draw from it properly, or they can't put it back in. And just a personal note on that. In 2003, I got into my first jackpot on the job, and I was working in a plainclothes capacity, and I had a shitty nylon holster, and that caused me a lot of grief. And I mean, I'm lucky I'm here today. And from that day, forward, I knew equipment. It's all a relationship with with what you're shooting with and your equipment and stuff like that. Spend the money on it. Don't chimp out on a lot of different things. There's things you can cut corners on. Your fucking holster isn't one of them. So that's my pet peeve.
I agree.
In the editing room there, Andrew.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of cussing I'm going to take out. That's okay.
Oh, fuck.
Thanks, buddy.
That's a big bowl of dicks.
I seem to recall Andrew eating a bag of dicks not too long ago.
And they were delicious. Back onto holsters, because I'm editing a bunch of that out. Back onto holsters. I agree. At the very least, you want a reasonable, outside the waistband, hard Kydex holster.
And you don't need drop leg.
It doesn't. No, please stop. Stop. You don't operate that hard.
Yeah.
Like, stop wearing
Clearly,
drop leg.
we do though.
The thing that kills me about the drop leg holsters is that half the people have no idea how to wear them, so they're way too far down, and they have to like retch over to pull their gun out. Just a regular outside the waistband belt holster. Oh my God! It's Brian Bolivar, everyone.
Holy shit! He was in here before, but we couldn't hear him.
See, if you have your drop leg and you wear it too high, that strap on your inner thigh starts pinching your balls, and that's just not comfortable, man.
Elastic bands and ice.
That's how Brian wears.
You ice it first, and then you tie it back.
Uh,
But some people don't know any better, right? Like they're going and they're buying a lot of kit all at once, and they're buying, stuff that they can get where it's, I only have.
Made company. What's the It's not Blackhawk. It's like every gun store has that plastic injection molded outside the waistband holster. I can't think of the name of them right now.
Yeah, not Blackhawk, the other one.
Yeah. It's killing me. I can't think of the name because that was my first IPSC holster. It was one of those like $25 injection molded plastic.
Oh, is it like the multi-gun? Like it fits like.
No. It was a hard plastic. It wasn't
Is it
Blackhawk.
Command Arms? Do they make holsters?
I don't think so. It's gonna kill me.
IWI?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
I shoot. All my platforms are Serpa, so I mean that's what I'm issued at work, and that's what I play with as well. I don't change anything up. So
Yeah, train how you fight, so you fight how you train. That's my philosophy there.
There's
Which is
nothing-
why I showed up to Andrew's house on Friday in a plate carrier.
And only 2 of my neighbors freaked out about it.
Yeah, but
The
when
other two
you're
wonder
being
why I
tailed
look
by
funny.
the RCMP all the time, you've got to be ready, right?
You gotta be ready.
Yeah. So I have the same approach as Craig, but completely different because I don't do this for a living. I actually just run an outside the waistband Blade Tech holster on my HSGI battle belt, and it's just a normal level 1 Kydex molded holster.
That's all I use for all my platforms, except I do have a drop leg, but it's for a very specific reason in very limited circumstances. I wear it when I'm hunting in the United States because it's the only holster I have that it's a Serpa, so it's got that positive retention. I guess that would be a level 2, and then the drop, and so that way I don't lose it when I'm going up and down trees. And it's the only configuration where I can wear the holster, and it doesn't interfere with my harness for when I'm up in a tree stand.
Yeah, I can understand that. That's a reasonable.
the strap on.
Yep, the strap on, just to frighten the animals.
One thing we should mention is I believe this is a rule for the Quebec CQB for La Ligue de whatever their name is, La Ligue CQB, I think. Maybe La Ligue CQB. I don't know. I don't parlez-vous
Wouldn't that be
français.
CQB though?
I don't parlez-vous français. I believe it is a rule in Quebec CQB that you must use a level 2 or higher holster. So my Blade Tech is a no-go for them.
I actually think that should be a rule that we bring in as well to our.
Bro, you're gonna mess with my draw stroke. Don't do that.
Definitely don't mess with someone's stroke.
Speaking of strokes, what the hell's Bryan doing? Is he just like a voyeur?
I don't know. He's bouncing in and out of the call. I thought he gave up on joining the call, but I'd love for him to get in and chat about this because I know he's got a lot of.
Probably heard a shit talking him.
Check the YouTube comments. He's probably screaming bloody murder, trying to defend his character.
No, he's not even on the YouTube comments. It's Swampland Films, and we want to say hey to Swampland Films, and he says $600 Norinco CQA with a Canadian Tire $60 1 to 4 power scope. LOL. And you know what? That would save the $60. Just don't buy the shitty scope from Canadian Tire. Just run the CQA.
Well, when it comes to equipment, like we have to still impress upon people that don't know what we know and don't do what we do. We got to emphasize the safety components, and sometimes some of those holsters and some of that equipment just does not look that great, and that one day when we may have spectators that come that are from the left, and we're trying to show them this is what we do, and that could be the day that that shitty equipment fails, and then they walk away going, well, yeah, told you so. And we don't want that.
Well, I cringe every time I see one of those nylon holsters on the range because inevitably they go to shove the gun back in, and one of the sides of the holster folds over into itself, and then they, using their weak hand, they try and pull the fabric out, and in the process they end up sweeping their own hand with the muzzle.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I've been there as well. I used to have those holsters years and years ago. I've been there, and of course, everybody learns. It's an educational process, and if we can take those people aside, or we can pass on what we know. Say, look, save your money on one way. Buy a little bit less beer this weekend, and maybe put it towards something else. It's
The one thing I always find funny though with holsters and safety are the guys that don't look down when they're holstering their gun. Like they're so worried that there's you see them at the range, they're training, they're the guys that do the exaggerated rapid head movements when they're done shooting to check for targets and everything, right? But they're swinging their head around so fast that if this was a real life situation they wouldn't see anything, but then they refuse to put their head down to look when they put their gun away. If you're putting your gun away, the threats are gone. So you can take your eyes off the scene for a second to safely put your gun away so you don't blow off your leg or something stupid.
Those could be the people that don't have, they haven't done any real courses. They haven't got the training. They don't have the specific mindset when handling stuff like that. So
if you watch enough YouTube, range time with Corey and Eric on YouTube, that's the same as taking training, right?
Well, McNamara, when you watch his YouTube. McNamara. So he calls it range theatrics, and his videos, he's bang on, and he's been there, done that, right? He's one of the people that he's vetted as it is because of what he's done in his past and what he's offering to everybody currently. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I used to love watching range time, and I still enjoy watching tactical response with James Yeager. Some of the stuff is neat. Other stuff, you just kind of shake your head and just, It's
all about Instructor Zero. That guy's got it going on.
You just like his beard.
It's true. Why is he called Instructor Zero? It's because you dial 0 for operator.
That's good.
That's awesome.
I figured it was probably because it's the only number that he can say in his Italian accent that people understand.
I thought he was Israeli.
No, he's Italian.
He's Italian.
He's got quite the resume. So I was watching his video that he did in response to James Yeager a little while ago, and he's just and you know what? In any time that you see him and when he's interacting with you, again, he just seems like a consummate gentleman. Man. He just seems like a really nice guy. So I'm dying here. I got 2% left on my battery before this thing kicks out.
Oh no!
Anything in specific you want to ask me or anything like that before this thing goes?
I had a question. It was mentioned about being a member versus a non-member. You had tiered pricing for admission to matches. What is the fee for membership in the ORA?
I personally typically pay, or is it 157? It might have gone up a bit, but that allows you to shoot in all different disciplines depending on the package that you buy. Mm-hmm. And they got rid of one of the packages. There's only 2 or 3 you can choose from now. I don't shoot F class, and I don't shoot some of the other stuff as well. So those fees don't affect me. And then what that you pay your membership, you gotta. I'm pretty sure you still have to join some sort of firearm insurance agency. I'm with CSSA, and then I'm with my. I also am a member of a workplace firearms club, and
There he goes.
And there he goes. All right. Well, we want to thank Craig for coming on and trying and not bringing his charger.
Yeah, why didn't he plug in?
Well, we'll have to pro tip for next time. I think with the Ontario Rifle Association, the membership is about $175. Check the ORA website. Sorry. Just saying goodbye to Craig. Okay. I think the ORA membership is about $175. Check the ORA website. It does allow you to shoot all of the ORA disciplines and just pay whatever the match fee is, and sometimes there is no fee, like practice days. You just show up and you shoot. There are a lot of different disciplines in the ORA, so there's things like F-class service rifle, CQB, target rifle. They have vintage days. They have Swiss matches. The other provincial rifle associations work similarly. Abbotsford has a member fee that's structured if you're a member, or I'm sorry, the First Action Rifle League, when they shoot at Abbotsford, has a member's fee that's structured based on whether you're a member of Abbotsford Fish and Game Club or not. It's a $10 difference for them. I think at Valcartier for Quebec, I think it's the same for everybody. I think in Alberta, it's $10 for members of Milo Range and $20 for non-members. At Guelph, it's just when I run the match, it's a flat fee. Everybody paid the same amount of money. So it does vary by organization, so you will want to check that. I would have liked to ask Craig before he left. I don't know what kind of sling he runs. I was going to pimp out some Blue Force gear slings because they're the shit.
Well, those are the Larry Vickers ones, right?
Yeah. Larry Vickers is awesome.
Yeah. I imagine he knows his stuff.
Yeah. The slings are good. He's kind of a jerk, but the slings are good. I don't know if you saw it. He pulled a thing at SHOT Show where he walked into a booth and started filming, and they're like, yeah, no, we're not doing interviews. He's like, do you know who I am?
So totally what we're going to do next year.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Pretty much. Except Larry Vickers is actually somebody, and we're not.
Yet.
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 So yeah, I mean, I would promote the 2-point sling. Lots of the guys run the 3 points. Or I'm sorry, that's not right. Single points. I like the 2-point because you're not getting hit in the nuts every time with your rifle, because there is a transition to handgun where you do drop your long arm and you transition to your handgun.
Uh-huh.
So add a cup to your kit if you're running a single point sling, is what you're saying?
Or get a shorter barrel, yeah.
Well, I usually run my plate carrier because I'm very much in step with that philosophy. Train how you're going to fight so that you fight how you train. And because it's a steel plate, it gives me that offset off my junk, so I don't have to worry about the gun, pummeling my gonads.
You're not dropping your rifle fast enough. No, I'm serious. All last year I ran a plate carrier because there was a bunch of IPSC people that were all like, why do civilians need plate carriers?
Oh, yeah.
So being that I'm a shit disturber, I immediately went out and bought level 4 plates and a carrier to put them in.
Good
and
man.
Ran them at every match I went to in 2015, including the IPSC matches.
Dude, I run my plates when I'm just like bench shooting.
Yeah, Tyler runs his plates when he's just coming over to visit.
Yep.
But
I don't trust the other jackasses at the range. I know I'm not going to shoot myself. There's other a-holes, though.
Actually, while we're on that topic of other kit, there is, with CQB, as far as I know, there is no limitation in any of the CQB disciplines. Yeah, I'm going to call them disciplines. Organizations, that's a better word for it, organizations. As to running plates or not, if I'm not running, I normally use a Banshee plate carrier with level 4s in it. If I'm not running my Banshee plate carrier, I'm usually running my HSGI chest rig or my Tactical Tailor MAV split chest rig. Same difference. You do need to carry a specific number of magazines on you, and that number is 5. So you need the appropriate number of magazine pouches.
And that's 5 rifle mags? How many pistol magazines?
5 5-round rifle magazines and 2 pistol magazines. And the course of fire for each of the matches will tell you how much ammo to load in your pistol mag. There are some matches where you only load 3 rounds into your 2 pistol mags, and there are some matches where you load 5 rounds into your 2 pistol mags. Oh, hey, Craig's back.
Yeah, I just had to hook up to a power outlet. My kid was playing Angry Birds before I got it.
No problem. We were just talking about more gear. Do you have a favorite sling that you run?
I run a a Magpul. I don't know what they call it now, but back then it was like an MS1 or something like that. It come with the hooks at the end, but I've modified it a bit in order to use the QD on one end and the hook on the front end. I used to use single point, but I found that I just didn't like that unless you have a really short gun. And I like having my sling furthest from one end to the other, like from the buttstock up to the front. Because now, when you're done your transition and you're scoring your targets and stuff, there's a way I like to sling it, much like we do with our shotguns at work, and I just find that more comfortable.
Yeah,
but any quality sling that's out there, I do find my Magpul one. It's the older one with the funny tab on it, and I just find that it binds up a lot now. I'm actually going to be switching to a Blue Force Gear Vickers sling.
Yes, I was just saying how everyone should worship Larry Vickers and buy his sling.
You know what? I was able to meet him 2 Octobers ago when he was up at One Shot Tactical, and again, that's just one of those guys that you see him on the internet, you see him on YouTube and stuff like. And there wasn't a lot of people there. He just had all the time in the world to talk to you, so he explained everything about that sling. And so I bought one from him, and it was one of the ones that he signed, and I brought it home. And fucked if I know where it is. So.
It probably got up and started its own YouTube video and moved out.
Yeah. Again, it all goes back to single points were really popular. The guy that I was shooting with after the 2 guys in my relay couldn't stand the cold left. The one guy that I was shooting with, Steve, he had a longer rifle and he goes single point. So I was explaining to him, if you're gonna have a long gun and you got single point, you're either gonna knock yourself in the balls or you're gonna hit yourself in the knees. And then his gun failed, so he took one of my extras, and so he was running it the way I run it, and I think I converted him over. There
you go. Not getting hit in the balls is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like the Magpul because it's both, right? Like, you can run it single point or 2. Like, I mean, that's what I have on mine, but I have the newer one without that annoying tab, which, I don't like that. The little plastic slider they have now is much better.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at getting, but locally here at Al Flaherty's, who now carries Blue Force Gear product, you can go there and you can get a padded or an unpadded one, and it's actually less. And I have all the hardware still from the Magpul one, and everything is interchangeable back and forth.
Yeah, if you are looking for a Magpul one though, the guys out on Kipling, what is it? Tactical
product,
yeah, they carry the Magpul ones, but they're still hard to come by.
Yeah, they. I'm not sure who they bring their Magpul in from. I don't think they get it from Gravel, who is the Magpul distributor here. So when you're buying, again, I don't know. So if you're not getting it from a regular place, you'll get your big shipment in, and then all of a sudden, once it's gone, right? So. Yeah,
I've been trying to get something from those guys for forever, just because they're geographically, pretty close. But
depending on what you're looking for, let me know ahead of time, because I've got bins of junk downstairs in the basement.
I do too. But yeah, no, I think I was looking for a hand stop. But nah.
I'm a big fan of the Magpul hand stop kit, actually. I may dig through my parts bin. I might have one for you. I definitely have a Cadex one if you're interested in that.
Yeah, Cadex is good gear, man. It's Canadian, right? So.
Yeah, kind of like that. We were also talking a little bit about chest rigs and mag carriers and all that. What do you run, Craig?
When I first started, I got one of those vests where you zip it up the front, and then I had the mags on the sides and stuff like that, which was okay. And my first season, I actually ran with a clone of my work belt, which after wearing it for a while, it just wasn't comfortable. So what I wear now is I wear a 511 VTAC Brokos battle belt, and a lot of people knock it because it's 511 and it's made offshore. Yeah, it's a copy of the Viking Tactics one, but I've gone back and forth between that and the HSGI regular belt and the HSGI Slim Grip belt, which I just released to a friend of mine recently, so he can get some good use out of it. And it's the best one that I've used just because of in the 15 years I've been on, I think I've been hit by like 7 cars. So I'm just generally sore all the time, and it's one of the best ones that there is. And I've got a really good inner belt for it, and I run HSGI mag carriers, and then I've got like a dump pouch and some other smaller things. I don't put a lot of stuff down. And then just for a chest rig, it runs the gambit depending on what you want to do. You see guys running armor, which is cool. Some guys run plates, which is cool. I run just a regular. I hate to say it, it's a Condor Molly chest rig at the front, but I have all HSGI stuff on it, and I like stuff being slim and low profile so that your gun doesn't get hung up in it when you're slinging it to the front. And the HSGI stuff, and there's other stuff that's out there as well, which is very, which is sort of the same. The evolution of gear, there's new stuff every year. There's no reason why people can't have quality kit and not break the bank.
Yeah, I gotta echo a bunch of your stuff because the first year I ran a Condor, like airsoft kind of zip up tack vest. Yep. And it worked okay. And then I went to the Tactical Tailor split front Mav. Yep. And it worked okay. And then I went to the HSGI that I've got now, the HSGI harness or whatever they call it. So I would use that when I'm not running my plate carrier. Yep. And I've got one of those HSGI Sure Grip battle belts, and that's what I use for everything basically that isn't IPSC. The 3-gun or service or CQB, it's all the same belt.
It just makes the long days that much more manageable. I just find that wearing that battle belt, man, you drop something, you got to take a knee to go pick something up because you can't bend over at the waist. But battle belts and some sort of a low-profile chest rig, whether you integrate it with some sort of an armor or not, that's the way to go, and that's where we're seeing a lot of people are going now, regardless, anyways.
Yeah.
So,
and the one thing that you find with the battle belts, and I think a lot of people are starting to pick up on this, you only have a limited amount of time to perform the mag change, and it's much faster to load a mag off your belt than it is to try and get it off your chest rig to load it.
Yeah, the one transition that we do when we run with the 5 mags, and you have to load with your 4-rounder. My 4-rounder is on my belt, and then the 4 5-rounders are on my chest. Mm-hmm. So I really still like that Haley D3 chest rig. I just Rampart carries it now.
That's what I run with my setup because I like that I can click it into my plate carrier or wear it on its own.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you guys, I mean, I started with a Condor, and I mean, I still have it and still use it from time to time. But I've got a Faro Concepts plate carrier that I wear now, which clicks in really well with that D3. And I mean, I have the D3 Heavy that I really like because that works with my VZ perfectly.
Yep. Yeah, I saw on Ramp. I was actually looking at it last night, and that chest rig's gone up to $260 now. I'm kicking myself for not getting it last year when it was $190.
Yeah.
But God bless the US dollar.
That's when I got mine, yeah.
So through the years, a lot of people started off in the same sort of way with equipment, and now you see people are wearing the same sort of stuff, and it's almost all becoming uniform. And which is good in a way because, like I said, there's just so much progression. Every year SHOT Show comes out, and everybody's got a new kick on gear, on different mag pouches. How many times can you reinvent different pieces of kit? Apparently, many, many different times. And just as you think, oh, this is the best kit I've got, they come up with something else like, well, shit, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah,
and
or a new color.
I mean, for the longest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know.
A new shade of tan.
For the longest time, I wanted I've got Leatherman tools, but I really wanted a Leatherman mutt, to wear on my belt. But I just couldn't pull the plug, for over $200 for that thing, depending on what you're buying. And then I just had an opportunity to get I don't have them here, the Multitasker Twist, and I got the Multitasker AR tool as well. And I got both of those for less than a mutt. And I mean, ideally, it's not 100% what I wanted, but the more I play with them,
yeah,
those things
pretty
kick
dark
ass, man.
clothes for a lot less money, yeah.
I'll tell you,
so,
I'm probably cut out for this sport because I've got a Velocity Systems battle belt here
buddy, you're
with
ready to
5
go.
rifle mag pouches and 3 pistol mag pouches. But I think I would rather run. I would wear my plate carrier. I've got a high ground plate carrier with AR 500 plates, and like you guys, I discovered the hard way that loading off the plate carrier is difficult. It's awkward. And it also makes transitioning to your sidearm awkward because it forces your gun way out in front of you. So when I was wearing my plate carrier, I transitioned to a thigh system, the HSGI thigh rig, and I've also got this set up for 5 rifle mags and 3 pistol mags. So I think I'm ready to go right out of the gate.
I thought of I like that Costa thigh rig. I always thought that was kind of neat. Again, I just can't bring myself to dropping $200 on something that I might not like.
Yeah.
And then I always go back to, well, would I use this in the workplace? No. And not that I have it written down, but it's something that I constantly go back to. Unlike most people, I have a reason to come out and do these shooting sports because I like to train, because I like to get that extra practice in that unfortunately we just don't get through the workplace. And that's just stuff I just wouldn't wear as it is anyway. I can go buy ammo.
All right. Should we talk about pistols? I don't remember what. I think Tyler had like 3 questions all at once there, and we got super sidetracked being Gear Horse.
I did. I asked about whether there were any restrictions whatsoever on like your pistol type. Like, so for example, in the show notes I read that it specified semi-automatic pistols. But before I read that, I was going to ask about revolvers. Can you work a revolver in there, or is that just like an outlaw match type thing?
Well, you can use a
run red
revolver.
dots? So revolvers are good. Okay.
Well,
can you run red dots?
Correct
Is
me if
there
I'm
a
wrong,
magazine capacity threshold that they want you to meet? I noticed it said modern pistol, so like a Tokarev, is that out? Or like
So
you're always
have
shooting
a
5.
Well,
Yeah,
5
so-
or less.
Yeah.
5 or less, right? So
Okay.
we actually have a buddy,
Your high
Dylan.
point is going to be okay if you want to run that, is what they're saying.
Yeah, high point's
Yeah.
fine. We have a buddy, Dylan, that comes out and shoots with us both at Guelph and at with the ORA matches. And for a long time, he ran a Webley revolver.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that might be the guy I was thinking about. And I think didn't John run a revolver one day?
Yeah, I think so.
In between going to the bathroom.
The thing with the revolver, you have to the pistol shooting, like everything else that we do with CQB, is a timed match. So you only have so many seconds to fire so many rounds, including your mandatory mag change. So, for example, at 25 yards, we have a match where it's 2 targets to your front, 3 shots on the left target, reload, mandatory reload, 3 shots on your right target, and in order to score, it must be 2 to the body and 1 to the head, and you must get your headshot for any of the points to count. The headshot target is the figure 14, otherwise known as a Hun's head target. Your scoring zone is only about 6 inches tall by maybe 8 inches wide. So if you don't hit that, half of a sheet of paper-sized target at 25 yards, you get no points. So it doesn't behoove you to shoot very, very fast and do that awesome mag change if you don't get any points. You'd be better to shoot slow and make sure you get 2 decent body shots and 1 really good headshot so that you at least get 5 points and, some more.
Yeah, that's when reliability of your platform comes into play. And like last year, I really focused on, a lot of times I didn't even get to the second mag. I just shot the 1 target to ensure I got those hits. When I started doing that, I actually started winning matches, and I started bringing home those coins, and I started bringing home the plaques. So
yeah,
I concentrate on that. I concentrate. What's that?
What kind of engagement distances are we talking about?
The hard pistol is 25 yards. The easy pistol is 10.
Yeah.
All right.
Then it sounds like whoever designed this system really likes that Mozambique drill.
Well, the body armor drill, the Mozambique drill, is I think it's important because it is this is all operational based training from a guy that spent a career being in the military, right? Like this is all. So the Mozambique drill, the failure to stop, the body armor drill, whatever you're going to call it, that 2 to the body, 1 to the head, is an important drill, and we do it at 25 yards, and I think it's also at 10 yards, right? And then there's the mag dump at 10 yards.
Yeah, because it's at the last line.
So the very last match is actually 2 left, 2 right rifle, and then 5 left pistol, 5 left rifle, or is it 5 and 5, 5 and 5?
No, it's
I don't have the course of fire sheet in front of me, and I can't remember.
It's 5 rifle to either side, and then I should have went down and got the but it's along those same lines because you're doing 1 and 1, then transitioning to your pistol 1 and 1. So if you focus again, I mean, you can blast away if you want. I mean, when you're trying to get in that last rifle, those last rifle shots when you're shooting, the next target. Yeah, there's been a few times when I'm just blasting away just to get them off, just to maybe try and get some 2s or something like that. But with the pistol, I've really got to focus myself because this is more of a rifle-based competition, I find. And the pistol fundamentals, it's not that they're not there. It's just that's something that I need more improvement on. And I'm the first one to say that. I carry a pistol for a living, and I got into shooting because I wanted that extra kind of training. But it also makes you, instead of rushing through it, it also makes you responsible for your rounds. If this was some kind of a live scenario, you can't just blast away and then have your rounds going willy-nilly shooting off into the distance somewhere. So focus on your shots and make sure you get the points, because I'd rather get those points scoring high on one target rather than doing really shitty on both of them and not scoring as high.
Yeah, you'll find with this game a big difference in the point score. Like, we have a lot of very competent rifle shooters that come out to the matches at Borden and shoot, but we don't have a lot of very competent pistol shooters, and you'll see that's a big difference in the scores. There'll be a bunch of guys that do really well right around like the 400. So the maximum you can get in a match is 550 points. And you'll have a bunch of guys shoot right around the 400s, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Craig.
Well, there's that one gent there that placed first. He got, was it 38 V-Bulls?
38 V-Bulls this weekend, yeah. 433 points and 38 V-Bulls.
And that's a guy that's been there just a little bit longer than me, and I've been able to watch him in his transition of equipment and how he shoots. And, he's somebody that I have to try and catch up to now, right?
Yeah.
So...
Well, because he's wiping the floor with the rest of us now.
He's, he takes his time. He knows what he's doing, right? So.
Yeah, the pistol shots really make a big difference for where people end up placing, because we have a lot of people that are competent rifle shooters, and that last couple of 15 or 30 points with a pistol shot will make a huge, put you miles ahead of the competition. If you get all 3 of your pistol shots at 5 points, you're 15 rounds up. You're way ahead.
And part of it as well, it goes back to physical fitness, because before you get to pistol, you're either moving and shooting or you're doing something else with your rifle, and your rifle is up and down before you're doing the transition. You're using all sorts of movements, and you're fatiguing yourself. You're working all those synergist muscles and stuff like that. And then by the time you actually get to your pistol, you're out of breath and you're shaking all over the place. And like we said, not everybody's a great pistol shooter to begin with. You're even worse by the time you get down to that line. And that's myself included.
So I went and pulled up the course of fire there while we killed a minute talking. So the first 2 the first 2 stages where pistol is employed are both shot at 25 yards, and they're failure to stop drills, Mozambiques, 2 to the body, 1 to the head, right? So it's always 2 targets to your front. Every shooter always has the 2 targets to their front. And for the first pistol shooting, it's all done at 25 yards.
Yeah.
And it's 2 to the body, 1 to the head, 2 to the body, 1 to the head. Mandatory reload in the middle. And I believe it's a 10-second exposure in all cases. Yep. And on the very last stage is our advance and fire drill. So starting at 15 yards, you do a 5-yard dash, and you're at the 10-yard line when you start shooting, and you do 5 rifle to the right target, reload, 5 rifle to the left target, unload, show clear, and we do a cold transition to the pistol now. That cold transition to the pistol is another 5 rounds left and 5 rounds right again.
Yep.
And I think it's something ridiculous like 8 seconds.
Yep. You got to be fast. You'll generally find the guys that are like into IPSC or IDPA or ODPL or any sort of pistol sort of competition. Generally do pretty good with those ones. But those guys are kind of few and far between in these kinds of matches, and they usually stand out as it is anyway because they've got, you know, the specific rigs around their waist that would identify them as that kind of a pistol shooter. You know, they've got the nice mag cases, or they've got the magnetic cases. You know, pouches where their mags come off a lot faster, and I mean, that's their gig, right? That's what they do. They're pistol guys. So I'd like to get to that at one point, and no doubt it'll be a little bit more time, but I'll get there.
Yeah, for sure. We've seen people come up huge. I mean, 3 years ago, nobody was breaking 400 in a match. Now we have people regularly getting up to 450.
Yep. And I mean, because of work and stuff like that, there's times when I've missed matches. So I've always hung around like the rookie area. And I mean, I'm hoping you get around to posting the scores at some time this month. But I'm pretty sure I've bumped myself up a level. So.
Wow.
Well, the previous.
You may have just lost a few points on that one. Right?
It's okay.
Yeah,
I know what kind of card
I will get the scores out. I will get the scores out eventually. I have them. I just haven't put them on Gun Nuts yet. I'm building the suspense. I want people to keep checking the thread. No, I'll get all that out to everybody soon. Tyler, do you have more questions on your list of prepared questions?
The last question I had that hasn't been answered yet is, are the matches capped at a fixed number of participants? And if so, what is that number?
Yes, and again, it varies by organizational group. So the Ontario Rifle Association matches this year, match 1 was capped at 40 shooters because it was also a training opportunity for new range officers and firing point officers. Generally, the matches will be capped at 50 shooters, and the championship matches will be over 2 days, 60 shooters on each day. When I run matches at Guelph, I think last time I ran it at like 48 shooters. The other regions, it varies by what their range can accommodate and how many RSOs they have and those sort of factors. But generally, you're looking somewhere between like 30 and 60 people.
Like the word is out. Like the last, was it 2 years now? We've had to do split championship days because the membership of CQB is getting more and more. You don't always see it throughout the year, but once the better weather comes and people's schedules are that much more better, when the better weather comes and you're that much further into the year as it is, more people are starting to show up. And some of those championship days, man, like last year's, I found that one long. And plus, you've got the barbecue afterwards to look forward to. But more and more people are coming to them.
Yeah, this year it'll be 120 people, so 60 on each day, and then the barbecue afterwards on the second day. So with the Ontario Rifle Association CQB, the way that we set up the championship match is it's match 7 A and B. I really should have had this prepared. I think it's in August. Yep. It's July.
No, I think it's in August.
Yeah, I think it's in August. I really should have had that prepared. Oh well. Through the magic of editing, maybe I'll fix this. Oh, Craig's gone again.
It's like we lost him. I did have one more question. Sorry, my notes are extraordinarily messy here.
Yeah, no worries.
And that was, what kind of, are there any certifications required? Like, for example, to shoot any sort of defensive pistol activity at my club, we require some sort of recognized holster qualification. Is there anything like that for these types of matches?
No, not at all. And part of the reason for that is the way the matches are shot, and also because we don't believe in that sort of shenanigans, that there's something that qualifies an individual to use a holster. You're either a competent and proficient firearms owner, or you seek additional training. Those are your two choices. Part of this is because it is service-oriented, and the gentleman that devised the system of CQB that we use is a Canadian Forces veteran part of the arms manual in the Canadian Forces is the Browning High Power, that's the issued service pistol, is carried magazine in with an empty chamber hammer down. So if you're ever engaged and you're carrying your high power, you have to draw and rack the slide.
Yep.
CQB is shot in a similar manner. So after we finish shooting our rifle, we unload, we show clear, the safety guy checks you, and then everybody sets back up, you get in the aim, and you wait for the next whistle, and on the whistle, transition from the rifle to the handgun, and you drop your rifle, draw your handgun, rack, and then fire. So, did that answer it? I don't remember what the question was now.
So at no point, well, at my club, I mean, we had a guy, have an accidental or negligent discharge, and almost took out his, femoral artery. Like, he could have died if his gun was canted 1 or 2 degrees to the left. And after that, we instituted a requirement for a base course, just to make sure everybody was on the same page with regards to holster safety. And I guess that when we shoot our matches for our activities, you holster a hot gun with a round in the chamber. Yeah. So I see the difference here, where there might not necessarily be really a requirement for that type of education, I guess.
Yes, and I think that's the big difference, is that with CQB we don't use the round in the chamber safety on type of shooting, because it's always draw and rack. There have been concerns in the past, and which is why we changed the course of fire a couple of years ago, where you used to do a transition on the clock, so you'd shoot your rifle, and it was like you had like 25 seconds or whatever it was, 30 seconds, shoot 5 rounds left, 5 rounds right with your rifle, transition, show your safety guy you're clear, drop your rifle, transition to your handgun, and then shoot 5 left, 5 right with your handgun. There was a problem where people would not count the rounds in their rifle, and they'd somehow end up with an extra round. So now, in order to combat that level of stupidity, we have to stop everyone after they shoot their rifle. So we basically hit pause on our timer. The entire line clears their rifle under the supervision of safety people, and then everybody gets back in the aim before we blow the whistle again, and then you drop your rifle and transition to your handgun.
So super realistic.
Yeah.
But well, it's the same thing. Is how do you combat the people that can't follow simple direction? Shoot 10 rounds. Why do you have an 11th round in your gun? How did you do that?
Well, I guess if they're using or pistol mags or Beowulf mags.
Rivets bend too. It's just aluminum.
Yeah, if you keep trying to jam 6 rounds into your gun, eventually.
Right. So I mean,
a hammer out.
Yeah.
Part of that
I just remember this one a long winter ago. I was putting rounds and it wasn't counting, and then I was like, I think 6 went in there, and then I went and I shot what I was doing on the bench, and then sure enough there were 6 booms. And then when I went to go load it another time, I was like, let's try putting more in here, and then 7 and then 8 went in. The rivet had fallen out.
Yeah. So I mean, it happens. That's kind of how we get around that, is that we now have that off-the-clock cold transition between firearms, and you're never drawing a hot pistol out of a holster, so we don't have any qualifications.
What is that called? Israeli carry? They call that?
Yeah, Israeli carry. Or Condition 4, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, we get a lot of people that ask if they have to have their black badge or if they have to have some other qualification. And no, basically everyone is welcome to come and shoot CQB. Nobody gets turned away. Hey, Craig's back.
Yeah. Technology.
Notice how Craig can drift in and out of this call effortlessly, but Bryan can't even show up to say hello.
It's
what a dick.
It's the RCMP technology.
What a loser.
Yeah, so I think that... Did you have anything else on your list there, Tyler? Does that...
No, I think that is the last of my questions.
Okay, good. And then what I want to do is go back and correct myself with the ORA CQB Championship matches. September 24 is 7A, and August 1 is 7B. And they're both getting close to 50% capacity. So if you're interested in shooting a CQB championship match and you are not signed up yet, I would strongly encourage you to sign up and give me your money, but mostly to sign up and then get your spot on the list because it's easier to back out than it is for you to get promoted from standby onto the active shooters.
I think ultimately with CQB, that's what guys and girls, that's what you want to do, right? When you go and you buy your, I guess, quote unquote, black rifle and you got your pistol, is you want to go out and you want to use it. You want to, it's a tool. It wants to be used in a way that it was made to be, used. You want to go, you want to run it hard, you want to shoot it. You want to know what its limits are. You want to know what your limits are as well. And CQB is one of those things that helps you do it. We don't have a big 3-gun following here yet in Canada. We do have pockets of it here. 3-gun is something I would love to get into as well. But CQB is one of those things. You know what? You go and you buy your platforms, and you come out and you have a good time. And it's always good people. So that's the one good thing about our community is there's always good people. They come from all walks of life, and you get to learn from a lot of people that are seasoned, and the new people eventually become a lot better, and then they pass on stuff as well. So.
Yeah, definitely. One other thing with that we have, there's some aversion to new shooters sometimes coming out to try this sport because they're intimidated by the competition aspect, I think. We do have an early day when we're doing this in Ontario. Again, check your local organizational body to see how they run their matches. Our safety briefing starts at 7:30 in the morning at CFB Borden, so you're on the range ready to go at 7:30, which can be difficult for people. When I run a match at Guelph, I'm regulated by municipal bylaws that I'm not allowed to shoot before 9 a.m. So my safety briefing starts at 8.
That's all right.
So again, it makes it a little bit easier for people to get there if they're coming from Southern Ontario. They're not doing a 3-hour drive to get there. And the other thing with that is if you're new and you don't know what you're doing, before we shoot the match, it's not like an IPSC match or an IDT match or 3-gun where you show up and you start shooting. Like, okay, Craig, you're on squad 1. You're the first shooter. Go on the buzzer. Go, right? Like, the first thing we do in the morning is a dry walkthrough of some of the more difficult stages. And then we do, like, a live practice. We pull the trigger on rounds and the guns go bang. But we're not doing it for points. Everybody's just doing it for practice. You check your zero. You make sure your kit's all sorted out. Make sure everything's functioning. Make sure you're in the right headspace. And we don't practice all 4 matches completely. We practice some of the more difficult things. So we check all the different yardages. We do some of the moving and shooting at the same time stuff to make sure everybody understands how to walk and pull the trigger and do them at the same time without screwing up.
It's pretty hard.
Well, the other thing as well is Tim is really good with ensuring that people that show up that are new shooters are paired in relays.
Yes.
With people that aren't so new, so that you can be proctored and you can be safetied with somebody that has a little bit of experience. And like when I shoot, there's a core of about 5 of us. 3 of us are there at almost any one time, and we like to sort of shoot as a team per se. But that doesn't mean that we wouldn't take on a new shooter and we wouldn't supervise them and help them out.
Yeah, part of the way that the shooting order works for this, and I guess that's as good a time as any to mention it, is we can shoot up to, when we do this at Borden, we can shoot up to 10 targets wide. When I do it at Guelph, we shoot it as 5 targets wide. It just sort of depends on how wide the range is, how many people you can comfortably squeeze in. And you do it as a number of relays. So you'll have up to 10 people at the same time get on the line and all shoot the same course of fire side by each. So all 10 of your shooters are up, and they have 10 safeties, and you have 2 assistant range officers overseeing them. And then you have your firing point officer, your conducting officer that's running the match and oversees the whole operation and gives the range commands and blows the whistle and yells at the megaphone and asks why you turned stupid and all the other things that they do. And when we go through that process, it's very intimidating for new people, I think, because it's very early in the morning. You just got yelled at for half an hour during the safety briefing, and now you don't know what's going on. And there's everybody around you who's got a job, and they all know what they're doing. But when you get squatted up, you're with 5 or 6 or 7 other people, depending on how many people are there that day and how many relays we shoot. So that team that Craig mentioned is everybody's shooting in Craig's target. What was your target this weekend? 7 or something? 6?
We were shooting number 4.
Okay, so on target 4, you had 4 guys all shooting target 4. You shot with the same 4 guys all day. You scored for each other. You patched for each other.
Yep.
You sort of all worked as a group, and you're all taking your turn. So when they have relay 1, the first guy's up and he's shooting, and one of his buddies is his safety guy, and then they take turns. The next guy shoots, and another guy is their safety guy, and while those 2 guys are doing their thing, the 2 guys that are not up safetying and shooting, they're patching and scoring targets. And then they switch the targets out, and they... Yep.
It's a constant meat grinder, right? Like it's a revolving door, and it's a very, very slick process. And when everybody listens and does their part, it's seamless.
Yeah.
So, but when you get those people that are sort of new, you do kind of have to lean on them a little bit, especially when it comes to the scoring and the patching process. If you're standing around, yabbing away and you haven't finished patching your targets because they now have to go back up every other match, you're slowing things down, and that's what pisses off the mature, the more seasoned shooters in a way. So, but the one guy that was in our line, he was new. It was his first time. So, and we had no problems going through. Don't rush it. Just you may not get all your mags off. Concentrate on the fundamentals. Go back to that. Make sure you have proper shot placement. And just let them know we've all been there. I didn't know how to do this stuff 5 years ago. I was okay with a pistol, but getting into rifle and stuff like that compared to where I am now, it's a complete 180. And again, with our community and just how good everybody is with the ORA, you have to pass that on as good-natured people that we are, and that's what makes it good.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys have any other questions about how CQB works? So we've kind of gone through all of my show notes.
Whatever you've got, if you've got mags and you've got ammo and you've got good equipment that is safe that you can use, and just show up, man. It doesn't matter whether it's your Mosin or whether it's an SKS or something like that. It doesn't matter. For the first little while, you're only competing with yourself, nobody else.
So I should totally go find myself a sweet Turkish rifle and show up.
Yes, but it has to be a pump-action Turkish rifle, and you need the
Dude, they make some pretty sweet pump-action ARs for some weird communist states.
Yeah, doesn't Delap make one for Australia?
Yeah. They have like pump-action everything down there. I'm surprised they don't have a pump-action pistol that's somehow legal.
I mean, couldn't you compete with a shotgun if you were shooting all slugs?
No, we had asked about that before, and what it does is, the way Tim explained it, is that that's not a regular piece of kit that the regular soldier would be carrying, and it actually gets away from the spirit of what the competition is. So that's why they don't employ shotgun. I had asked about it a while ago. Can we have a shotgun component to it because it's CQB? And then that's it. Like you said, it just gets away from what the actual intended purpose was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that being said, if you want to come out and shoot a 22, people will pick on you, but there's no reason why you can't.
Yeah. There was one gent there that might have been one of the French cats. He was shooting the Chris Vector, and but it was a pain in the ass to score because I think
he probably had the same caliber handgun and
as his handgun, and you could make all your head and body shots with the Vector, and not even really worry about where your shot placement was with the pistol. So mind you, I do like that Chris. That's a nice, neat looking platform.
So I should bring out my JR carbine in 9mm then.
Yeah, you could totally run this with a JR carbine. Absolutely.
No.
No, we just make him... He doesn't own a handgun. We just make him buy a 1911 and 45. Then the holes are different sizes.
I'll just run a 50. I can take it.
Let's double check the range approval and make sure 50 is good to go.
That way, you only need one body shot and they're down.
No. The gamer thing. 2 to the body, 1 to the head. You have to do all of the way it's written.
God, I couldn't imagine.
Or if you're gonna shoot with a revolver, make sure it's a Taurus Judge, and that way you can load buckshot into it.
There you go.
I'm sure that would go well.
Have fun scoring that.
Dude, I've done 2 shots with a Desert Eagle, and not even rapidly, and my hand was killing me after that. I couldn't imagine trying to get off like 5 shots in like a short period of time.
10 shots in 13 seconds with a reload. You can do it. If you can't.
Oh, I'm sure I could, but my hand will probably be crippled and have arthritis for life.
I hate to say it, that's why. I mean, just, I've got injuries that are plaguing me now in my old age, and that's why I'm transitioning now down to 9mm. And just the ammo is a lot cheaper, and recoil is a little bit more manageable, and it's a lot less painful.
Factory? Or are you loading your own?
No, I just shoot factory. I don't have the ability to do. We just got no room in the house to set up, some of the rigs that you guys have. That's something I will get into eventually once I get more into, if I get into more target. If when I get a bolt gun or something like that. I'd really like to learn more about reloading and stuff like that for sure.
Well, you can, especially if you're just shooting bolt guns, you can get a single stage press for nothing, and you can get a stand for it that you can put away when it's not in use. But I will say, just for any curious listeners out there who are considering taking the plunge into reloading, if you go all the way, get Dylan, top of the line, everything, and you're shooting 5,000 rounds rifle, 3,000 rounds pistol a year, it'll pay for itself in a year's time.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a worthy investment to make.
Come on, I shoot 5,000 rounds of rifle a year easily, and I do it on my little single-stage Hornady.
Are you kidding? You're not even running a progressive?
No, I've got this little red guy right here on my bench.
Oh my god.
And I got this big giant...
What is wrong with you? You gotta get the Dylan, man. Get the Dylan.
This is a bucket of 223 brass that gets to go through it.
You only have one bucket? I don't know if you can see mine.
Oh,
Stacks of buckets.
That's why the RCMP is outside his door right now waiting.
That's just my prep 223 brass that I got to finish loading for the year. That's.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess we should start wrapping it up. Who wants to read some rapid fire?
Is that a rhetorical question, or are you actually asking?
No, I need a volunteer who has the show notes open because I don't want to read this week. I read it every week.
Rapid fire
Your
feedback.
show.
Episode 21 from Walper Style 22. It says 30 billion ways to make us mad. Libertarian is better than liberal.
Good job, Tyler.
I read good.
Yeah,
You do
that
really
and happy to say this week I did become a card-carrying member of the Libertarian Party.
Welcome to the Brotherhood.
A lot of my friends thought that it was an April Fool's joke. I was like, no, I'm serious.
I thought about asking you that, but I said no, he would never joke about freedom and liberty.
No, the joke is the current system we have. Yeah.
Want me to keep going with iTunes feedback?
Yeah, give us the iTunes
From
feedback.
MadJock76. He says, a great listen, 5 stars. Great podcast, informative and funny. I'm always on the lookout for new episodes. I'm a British expat, and my only issue is that you all drink piss-weak North American beer. You all need to get some good European beers going. Leffe is the way ahead for everyone.
Oh, God. That's
Okay,
not a bad beer, but...
I am actually going to drink the Leffe on the next show. I'm going to go and get some brown from the LCBO, I think. Some Leffe brown.
I mean, this is 5.3. That's respectable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it ain't no 6.5 triple.
Sure, but I did drink 3 liters on the last show.
That
We
wasn't.
should all just go and get some of those Belgian quads that are 12 or 13% and just get really messed up.
Man, I can't find good Belgian beer around here. The LCBO has triple from, I think it's not even Leffe. It's some no-name brewery, once a year right around Christmas.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, some of those. I remember I got one of those once. It came in a wine bottle with a champagne cork, and this really cool glass that had to sit in this wooden base because it was just a round bottom. And it was the only beer. No, the first beer I couldn't actually finish because it was so disgusting. The other one was that holy smoke Scotch ale from Campbellford. That's absolutely disgusting.
That's no good.
No, it's smells like salami and tastes like cigarette butts and vodka.
I'll see if I can get my hands on some of this beer from a microbrewery in Quebec called La Fin du Monde. It's 9%. Yeah.
That's some
excellent beer served ice cold.
There used to be a place that you could get it in Vegas, so whenever we used to go down, we'd always just go and drink their entire supply.
Oh.
I was drawn to this company by a brand of beer that I discovered in high school, allegedly, called Trois Pistoles, same alcohol content. And we actually like crunched the numbers. We did the math and figured out that it was like the best bang for your buck because it was
Nice.
9%.
Well, you could have also got maudit, which is a swear word in French. I don't know if Andrew's going to have to censor that one out or not.
No, it's a proper noun.
But then, like, on the label, they have, like, a bunch of dudes in a flying canoe, because apparently there's a legend where they sold their soul to the devil for a flying canoe to get back in time for the New Year's celebrations. Which is pretty epic. That right there is reason to drink it alone.
I dig it. All right, let's see where people can keep in touch. We'll start with Tyler. Where's the best place to find you on the internet, sir?
Everywhere on the internet. You can just find me personally on Facebook. I accept pretty much everybody, unless
Or
looks like your
Grindr.
account was created 20 minutes ago. You can find me on my podcast Facebook page. Not bad. My podcast Facebook page, facebook.com/libertydeathpodcast. Just registered libertydeathpodcast.com. There's nothing there though, so don't bother for at least a little while. Or on Twitter and Instagram @libertypodcast.
Right on. Gavin, where's the best place to keep in touch with you on the inner tubes?
The best place you can find me is on Instagram. You can find me under urbex_GTA. Yeah.
Craig, do you have a social media public-facing personality?
Just the Facebook, same thing. I pretty well accept anybody that, as long as you're respectful on the page itself. I make no qualms about what I do for a living. If you're a dick on the page, I'll just get rid of you. Other than that, you want to get a hold of me, 911.
I'm going to call that right now and see what
That
happens.
has got to be the best. Like, I realize you're not at the stage in your life where this is a big thing, but could you imagine being like a mid-20s guy and walking up to somebody being like, yeah, my number's 911?
It used to make panties drop, not so much anymore.
Yeah, I bet it used to. That's
So if we call 911 and we just say, yes, Craig, please. That's all right?
Works every time.
But no, as far as social media and stuff like that, I'm completely new to all of this, and most of the time.
Well, you're better than
I wanna
Bryan,
be,
so that's...
Well, I'm hoping to be a regular on here. I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about, workplace-wise, I can a little bit, but just stuff about gear and shooting and all that other stuff as well. So.
get you on for sure. As always, my name is Andrew. You can find all of my work on everydaytacticool.com, and I'm on Instagram and Twitter @edtacticool. For the show, you can check us out. We have a website. It's CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. If you want to leave us feedback at Patriot. No, that's not it.
Have another beer, Andrew.
I'm just going to re-record this whole thing. Screw it. If you want to check out the show's website, we're available on the internet at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, or you can like us on Facebook. We're on it at Face. God, Jesus, fuck.
It's like your wife, like throwing a dishwasher around the room right now. What is that? It just sounds like silverware being thrown all over the place for the last like 15 minutes.
I
think he just kicked his real doll.
Just Gimp in his leather outfit hiding in the corner,
Get the gimp.
rattling his chains because it's time.
You can find the show.
Is that Andrew or Craig?
No, it's Craig. It's got to be Craig. It's not me.
That is just creepy.
You can find the shows. No, that's still not it. I can't do this for shit. Somebody read
Pretty sure.
Just cut it in from another episode. No one will notice.
All right, as usual, well, Tyler's gonna have to swoop in and save this mess. Okay, where are we in the show notes?
Well, they're just saying where they can get a hold of Andrew on Pornhub.
Pornhub and Grindr, of course. Apparently, we're all on Grindr.
Well, yeah. Who doesn't like blowjobs?
If you want to check out the podcast, you want to check out the back catalog, you visit us at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/CanadianPatriotPodcast. And we value your opinion, so please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com and let us know what you think. And remember, you are the truth, true north, strong and free. Almost had it perfect. Fuck.
Thanks, Tyler. I don't know what's going on. I can't read that. I am still sick.
Oh.